This is the Revved Up Sports Show with Bobby Chaffee.
We do have this nice little format that we try to follow every week. We don't usually follow it.
And Rodney Rodriguez.
Entertain me. Tell me something. I need to know something other than what I'm seeing.
Y'all ready? All right, here we go. Here's Bobby and Rodney.
A wise man, or maybe woman, once said that good things come to those who wait. And everybody has been waiting all week for hashtag Real Race Talk, and we are back at it. It's Revved Up Sports Show on your Thursday special edition. We were a little coded out, so we had to get everything back in line. Like we said, Russell was out of the office trying to get caught up on, I think, all of the work that we put off going over to the fantastic presentation. A lot of people there, dude. And rain, these people wouldn't go. They were acting, well, I don't know. When it rains at the short track, people go hide. They weren't hiding at the Coda.
No, that place is packed. I mean, even with the crappy weather forecast on Saturday and both Sunday, people showed up in droves, especially on Sunday. I was shocked how many people knowing that it was going to rain decided to show up in the rain. But we did prove that NASCAR can race in the rain. They just can't race in a monsoon downpour.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, I've seen so many people. It was like, why they stop the race? I'm like, I don't know how they got that far. I mean, we were sitting there watching that, and I mean, seriously, that was anyway, they'll work. Hey, now they have a blueprint. Now they will go back and work and figure it all out, and I think they did a really good job. That was the first true rain race,
right?
Absolutely.
That's the first true rain race that they've tried in the rain.
Yeah, we've seen them, you know, we've watched them, you know, at Rovals and all this other shit where they've gone out and have had to slap those tires on and get out there and try it. But, I mean, seriously, it was those wrecks on the backstretch. I mean, you're going and seriously, dude, I don't know if you noticed this when our man came over. I'm not gonna say his name, but when our man came over and was talking about, well, these guys need to learn how to feather the gas. Did you notice I had to go to the bathroom? I'm like, we ain't doing this right now. We don't do that. We stand on it and we go.
2 speeds, stop and wide open. That's it.
Yeah, I'm like, no, we don't do that. And hell, for one thing, our cars don't have traction control and don't have all of this stuff that you know, road course cars do and all that. I mean, when we race in NASCAR, we do one thing.
Oh, go, girl, go. I'm going. I got the metal to the pedal and the thing to the floor.
That's what we do at the short track too.
Well, that's all you could do, right? I mean, as far as everything rocking and rolling there on I thought the truck race was a great race in the rain. Thought there was some really good racing action in the rain. The Xfinity Series race started wet, ended up dry. Kyle Busch made that more of a stink-up show. But I was impressed Sunday with the whole presentation with Circuit of the Americas. Yeah. I thought SMI did a fantastic job transforming that place. Mm-hmm. And the one I've seen very little negativity on social media about the overall race. Man, everybody said the same thing. Hope like hell they come back. Hope like hell you come back. Don't let the rain ruin it. Come back again. Try for a dry race.
And thank you all. I mean, I was very happy. I was very pleased that I saw many of our short track brethren at this race. So thank you all for going out there and supporting, because it's a good thing. I mean, it's a really good thing when you go out there. We have to support the main product. I mean, it is important.
No, I mean, you have to. I mean, all the rising tide raises all boats. And so I think with the success, I was like you. I was totally shocked at how many – there were people that we've seen on social media that are diehard anti-NASCAR fans that always talk about how bad it is now and how much they don't like it compared to the old days. And lo and behold, those fools were out there in the wet, in the rain, and watching the damn race.
We'll take it. We will take it. That's a support that we need. And I can tell you, there were a lot of people that I talked to that I was telling them, I said, I don't know if you know this or not, because it was like their first experience with this stuff. I said, believe it or not, I said, we actually do this all around the state, and we do it on pavement and dirt. And they're like, really? And, I'm giving them track names, depending where they're from. So, I think it's going to be a nice trade-off to where we get some new fans on the short track side, and hopefully we get some folks that are going to buy into the other stuff. But great weekend, all-star race coming up as well, so you can be a part of that also. Good program coming up today as we are doing this on Thursday, 6:30. We're going to talk to Aaron Brungott. Somebody finally had a really cool idea and said, let's do some factory stock power rankings, with all the factory stocks and everything that we see, this resurgence of factory stocks. I think that'll be cool, and I truly have no idea how it's all going to work. And when we're done, and call Aaron and call Race on Texas, because this is their formula. This is everything that they've figured out, and it's not. What I like about it is, just like with the Driver of the Year contest that we talked to Phil about the other day, I mean, this is not a popularity contest. I mean, so many of these revert to that, and this is not going to be the case. This is going to be performance-based from what I've gathered, and I feel sorry for whoever the hell's tracking this, because these guys, they race a lot.
They do. They race a lot. I don't know if this is breaking news or not. I'm not sure if you saw this in Austin, the Republic of Texas, the Rot Rally. It's going to be at Circuit of the Americas.
I had heard about that. See, there we go. We talked about it all weekend, the resurgence. That's a great place to have it. I mean, the Cow Barn out there, the Ice Bat place, or Austin Ice Bat Stadium, or Convention Center. What is that? Expo Center.
Expo Center. Yeah, Expo Center.
That's a great place. But I mean, seriously, COTA, you want to talk about spread out and laid out? I mean, that's a great place to do it. They do a lot of cool stuff out there with like bike nights and stuff. I know our man Jason Simmental goes out there, and he and his family do that, and that's a great place for that, and good for COTA. Good for COTA. I mean, I've been following on Lone Star Speed Zone. I know there's bad blood in there with people that just have that bad taste in their mouth. But I mean, seriously, it's right here in our backyard, man. And this is something, I mean, we got to support it. I mean, and especially now that they've embraced us rednecks, Mexican rednecks. I mean, we got to live it up. I mean, it's our place. I mean, it's the closest thing that we have around here to Major League. I mean, I know we've got plenty of short tracks, but this is our place. This really is our place in this area.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt. I mean, obviously our friends in the Metroplex have Texas Motor Speedway, and we still like Texas Motor Speedway. It's a great facility. The fine folks up there have always been super nice to us anytime we've ever been up there for any type of media event or anything like that. So, no disrespect to Texas Motor Speedway. They're still a number one in our book, but they definitely have been. They've been outstanding to us and to the race fans. And you want to see a good crowd here for the All-Star race coming up in a couple of weeks, because that's Eddie Gossage's last race. Yeah,
and they definitely set the benchmark, and they made this race happen this past weekend, and they did a great. I got to tell you, Bobby, I was seriously impressed. I mean, I think they pulled this thing off. I'm not going to say it was seamless, obviously, with the weather and everything that was going on, but, man, they did a hell of a job doing this. And I got to tell you, from our perspective, the media center perspective and just everything, it really – I think it was actually I hate to say this. Maybe it's just the facilities. I think it was maybe a better experience than TMS, to be honest with you.
I think maybe that might be the case. I mean, you spent more time on pit road than I did, but I think the newness factor is one that cannot be denied in terms of the stuff that you can see at the racetrack. So I think that had a lot to do with it. But I also think it's also, to me, I think it's the pandemic effect, because this is the first race back that a lot of people have got to go to since the pandemic. This is the first major event in Texas.
Yep.
I guess other than that, didn't they have a fight at AT&T Center that drew 75,000 people?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and
the
Rangers. Yeah, the Rangers had a game where they let everybody in, and that was one of the things I was talking to the guys on the radio Monday morning. I said, I don't know how much of this was what you're saying, or the new feel to it, maybe a combination of both. But I think what's really good is it's one of those scenarios where being the first event, even though the rain and everything that happened, but like the Truex crash and all of that, that's how you hook them. And I think they'll be back. I mean, what our man, well, can't say his name, but they're going to be back. we're pretty sure they're going to be back.
Yeah, I can't see any reason why they won't be back. Obviously, I mean, everything points to them coming back, which is a good thing. And that just bodes well for trying to make Austin more of a racing town, which is going to be a challenge in its own right. But in terms of getting Austin set, ready to go, I think it's going to be it's going to take a hot minute to get everything set and in stone for Circuit of the Americas to be back. I think that they will be. I think I think it was as successful as it could be under the circumstances with the weather and everything else. But I think it definitely deserves a round 2 for sure to try to get Mother Nature in to have a really good experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. So we do have, once again, here as we get it going here, we'll play that again, and it is kind of crappy news. Got the call, talked to Gina right before we went on the air, and I'm sure everybody's probably seen it on the Gulf Coast Racing Series Facebook page, but the Saturday event has been postponed or has been canceled, and that I knew this was going to be a challenge because everything that had already, the week before, I mean, we haven't so much here, but they've been inundated with weather conditions over there with rain and so forth. And it got to the point, and as I'd been checking in with her during the week, I mean, it had been continuously raining. I think today you got a good day, but still, I think you're hovering around 70 to 75% on Saturday, and it all goes back to the whole not owning the racetrack thing here to take a loss, and they've had to pull the plug on that one, and that sucks.
Yeah, it's not a good thing anytime you have to cancel a race because you feel bad for the Houston racers. Those guys have been getting pumped up for it all week, and everybody's come through and been excited and getting their cars ready and stuff. You never want to see a rain out because rainouts are what they kill a facility, because if it happens during the day and it rains out, you're lost out on a lot of things that people don't think about. You're lost out on some food. Yeah. You're lost out on the revenue. Obviously, when people don't show up in the grandstands, you still got to pay out the insurance. You still got to pay out the electricity. You still got to pay out your employee purse, so to speak. So, I mean, there's a lot of extended circumstances that people don't take into consideration. A lot of people are probably going, oh, hell, why'd she cancel? It ain't going to rain. But you know what? It ain't their ass on the line. It has to put out the money in case it does rain on Saturday.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. And that rent, we go back to that. I mean, that rent is due when that event is done, and that's the tricky scenario right there. So that one has been called, unfortunately, but kind of do want to touch there as we pull that up once again. If you're on the Facebook feed or at RevvedUpSportsShow.tv, I really think that this Gulf Coast Racing Series touring plan that she has in place, I think that's something. I think it's pretty powerful that with the truck tour right there. Obviously, the May 29th race will go away, and I'm sure she'll have a plan in place because definitely 4 races is the plan. But $10,000 points fund right there for the top 10, and then the way everything lays out right there. I mean, this is a really good opportunity for both to get to run both places. And I mean, I know I really got the feel after the Mobile race. And again, this, Bobby, you probably agree with this. I mean, I think this is much more with the Mobile guys that have been out of business for a while. They're ready to come to Houston. And that's kind of the reverse of what we've seen in the past, because we've had all of our guys and ladies that want to go to Florida, and we don't see it in return. Now we have a tire shortage or whatever that is, and, it's going to make it tougher. I do know there's lots of American Racer tires.
Well, see, the part about it, though, is one thing that I think we were going to get a good influx of Mobile area racers. Yeah. Just because it was a holiday weekend and you'd have that extra day on Monday to travel back. I hope that doesn't deter some of the Mobile racers from trying to come back, when the races get rescheduled. That's one thing that's going to hurt. I think with the Memorial Day holiday, that had a lot of people up and ready to go. But I also think that they had a chance another reason to try to pull the race early, because you had so many cars and drivers coming from Mobile. That really is
the big deal, and I'm glad you said that, because what I was so excited about, as the cool people say, what I was so stoked about, is that a California word? What word is
stoked?
Hell, Austin.
It's a Southern word, yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay. I've been smoked. Anyway, what I was so fired up about was that the Outlaws were coming. There were going to be some Outlaws that were going to make their way in, and it was, I mean, the pure stocks and the sportsmen, hell, they want to race in Houston. We're like, dude, we don't have a class for you. They're like, well, how about we make our own? I'm like, well, there's a bunch of guys that have these cars that want to run. Think they'll show up?
No, hell no. Because if they were going to do it now, they already would have done it.
Yeah, it's like, well,
Union's open. You need 12 cars to get a race. That's pretty much what you need.
They say no. Those cars from Alabama are cheaters. No, I'm just kidding. So I mean, that is a nice thing. I think we're probably going to have a nice crossover. Oh, we're going to get blown up for that one. I think we do have a little bit of crossover now to where, because a lot of folks have said what this has done is it's like, well, we need the Florida people. I'm like, well, what I've found now is actually the Alabama people may be the ones that finally come. And I think they were ready to come. And as you said really nicely right there, that's one of the reasons why, unfortunately, 60 to 70%, if it's all, just a local show, you probably go with it. But when you've got people coming, and the same thing would have happened at Mobile, if you had a bunch of people traveling from Texas, you probably had to pull the plug.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. People just forget about the cross-pollination between Mobile and Houston. And so I really think that with the amount of cars that we've seen that were even the amount of drivers that were verbally committed to try to come run this race with the Outlaws and maybe even a couple of modifieds coming that far over in a couple of trucks, with the amount of people that were committed to running this race, I think it was the smart thing to do by calling it early. You always get the second guessers. I mean, even around here in the Austin area, there's a 60% chance of rain tomorrow night. And then there's another 40 or 50% chance of rain depending on where you are on Saturday. So, as long as everything, shakes out, I mean, hopefully everything gets going the way it's supposed to be. Mother Nature has not been kind this last 6 weeks when it comes to racing.
Yeah, and, I was actually thinking about that because, we all know that I'm a GMA guy. We know I'm a GMA. Got to watch my GMA in the morning or I just can't function. And I was watching during the week where it looks like Lake Charles has been pounded again. And I'm thinking, man, that's going to be tough for the guys. And obviously we're not just saying that this happened because of the racers coming through Lake Charles. It's the weather's going to be bad, or most likely going to be bad. The conditions are already bad there, but that was my thought. It's like, man, folks that have to come through Lake Charles, man, that thing looked like hammered horse shit the other day when I went through it. And
it was bad when we went through the Derby.
The Derby, yeah, and so for that to happen again, it's going to be really, really tough. And it's just one of those things, when you're doing business like that, it's tough, but. You still do have. I mean, there's plenty of opportunities. At some point, we're going to be back in the drought again, and there's your. We popped that up again. That's a really good opportunity right there. And I think what the Gulf Coast Racing Series is hoping to do, as a matter of fact, I know that's what they're trying to do, is get this thing in place with the trucks to where it can grow next year. Whether it be discounted hotel rooms or, $100 to start, like it says right there, gas cards, buying back tires, all of this stuff, where moving forward, this could be an opportunity for Outlaws or Modifieds or anything else. And I think it's a really cool scenario, and I'm not just saying that because I work for the Gulf Coast Racing Series. I'd say that if, it was anybody else.
I think it's a great formula. I think would have been off to a great start having they come through and been able to race this weekend. But Gina's been working her ass off trying to get the racers open and welcome. I mean, if the Alabama racers and some of the Florida racers from Mobile have learned anything, they've learned that she will do everything she can to try to make the racing the most cost effective it can be, along with the biggest purse that she's able to provide. Obviously you want bigger purses, but the drivers have got to understand, there's other factors involved. You got to get the right sponsorship. You got to get the right TV package. Yeah. And so you've got to get the right revenue streams coming in before you can get the revenue streams going out. So I think it's still, some of it's a work in progress, but it's just a shame Mother Nature won with Houston this weekend. But as somebody has said, as it looks like Josh said it, that July 3rd race is going to be pretty insane now.
It will.
I might have to go to that one because I'll be gone for a couple of weeks after that one.
That's going to be a fun one. And then the nice thing is, so moving forward, so other opportunities, folks that were wanting to go to Houston. Obviously, we've got, Texana's doing a couple of shows. Cotton Bowl has a show on Saturday, and then you got the All-Star Shootout that is coming up, which I'll be at Sunday night at Waco. But, you had Southern Oklahoma last night. Tonight you're in Bells. Then you're going to go to Boyd, then Kennedale, and Heart of Texas Speedway. So I'm really hoping that weather's going to hold out here to where you can get all of this done. But, man, Memorial Day weekend is a bitch. We've had, just notorious floods in the Austin area, just all across Texas. You've had terrible weather, and it always seems like it kind of pops up Memorial Day weekend. It's like you can count on it. I used to go to the Rockney Bazaar all the time out there in Rockney, out between Lockhart and Bastrop and all that out there. And we'd go out there and we'd drink cold beer all day, and then we'd go and have that great meal that they had at the drink cold beer all day at the Sacred Heart Church, and then go to the dance, and it's like, about 10:30 you're waiting. You're like, okay, the storm's coming in. Boom, 11 o'clock at night. I mean, here it comes. So it's tough on Memorial Day weekend. So hopefully the All-Star shootout will get done, and hopefully Owen and Marianne and all of them get to race and get those races in. 105 Speedway indeed is racing as well. So you've got all of that. But I think Owen's going to have himself a really good 2-day show there. I got a feeling that old Texana is going to be packed.
Yeah, I got a feeling it's going to be packed. Don't forget, you can take your lawn chairs down to Texana. I know they were working on a couple of different bleachers there the last time. I think they should have most of those up by now. But if I didn't have prior commitments, I'd be down there probably on the microphone, tuning the voice up to try to do lots of racing classes. 8 classes, I think, are running there both nights there on Saturday night and Sunday night there in Edna, including the Southern Late Model Series.
Yeah. And quickly back this All-Star Shootout, presented by Fast Shafts. You want to talk about, good money right there. $1,000 for the mods, $750 for the sport mods. Stock cars going to race for $750. So that's good money right there. And again, a great weekend there because folks, drivers, racers, they have opportunities to where you can do that for maybe 5-day weekend. So I think that's going to be a really good traveling tour right there. Hopefully they're able to get it in. Weather always is going to be a factor when we're looking at something like this here in this southern area. Got to think about our man Boris Jerkovic. He do you see that at Berlin on the
I haven't seen
the
part of the wreck. I've seen the aftermath of the wreck, but I haven't seen the actual video of the wreck yet.
Yeah, he and David Fretz injured in that, and that was very much a scenario. Like what we saw at COTA, the Truex thing. It's really just like that again. But with the Truex thing, at least you can attribute that to weather and so forth. But this was you had a pretty grinding wreck, and a guy's coming up, and again, I'm never one to question a spotter or a driver, but it seemed like there was a little bit of time right there, but. Man, Boris, one of those guys, man. He's he's been around forever, man. and Boris Jerkovic, he's one of those guys where every time I hear that name, I'm like, he should be a wrestler. That's a wrestler name right there.
It's a wrestler name right there. But yeah, he's always in a super late model scene, whether it's usually in the upper Midwest, but he comes down to the Derby. He tries to have a little bit of fun every now and then.
Yeah.
But, tough break there. When you get injured at a local short track like they did, it's rough. It's rough when you get injured in any race car, but, always have to be, regardless of the level that you race at, you got to double check and make sure you got the best safety equipment you can.
Dude, and did you happen to see the video of Brooke Storr? She blew up an engine, and, man, she had herself. I know I say it jokingly, but yet serious. Anytime there's a fire on the racetrack under the car, she blew that outlaw up, and man, you could have smoked some burgers and wieners under that thing because man, that thing went and everybody stops. It's like cars are coming down the front stretch, and obviously the red flag comes out, but they're like they stop, man. That's scary stuff right there, man. Fire's scary.
Fire and water. Or fire and oil don't mix.
Yeah. Well, it's like the other day at COTA when you had, who was it? Harvick dropping oil all over the racetrack, and the track was already drenched in water. It's like, okay, oil and water do not mix. That's not good.
Yeah, no, it was not a good thing. But the atmosphere at the I gotta say, going back to COTA, I've got to say how good it felt, the atmosphere that whole weekend. Right, the grandstands were excited. Everything else, and I don't know if it's because it was a brand new event or if it was just because racing, the pandemic took everybody made it. We talked about taking everything for granted. Now the pandemic is the pandemic over. Depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
But I think everything's getting somewhat back to the new normal. It felt like normal when we were there, Friday through Sunday. So it was just a great experience all along, and it seems like it's the positiveness from the upper levels of the sport, with NASCAR being the first sport back and getting everything else going. it really seems as though like that is trickling down to the local short tracks.
Yeah.
We've seen it all over the country, especially the states that have been racing real good. You see a lot of stuff on Florida. You've seen a lot of good stuff coming from the upper Midwest and stuff like that. So it looks like we're getting back into the swing of things.
I don't think Florida ever knew that anything was going on. Dude,
Yeah, that's true. I don't think they ever stopped, did they?
dude, like I told you over there in December, we're sitting there. I remember looking around, and then I remember looking at you, and you were looking at me. And, I mean, it wasn't like an intimate moment or anything, but I think we were both like, what the hell's going on here? There were
Yeah.
people everywhere, man.
I think we did it. I think we did that again at the
crazy.
Walmart. We were
Yeah.
sitting there when we were waiting on the adult beverages for that day. I think we did that at the adult beverage store at the Walmart.
Yeah.
Kind of looking around and was like, what's going on here? This seems normal. This doesn't
Yeah.
seem any kind of
Yeah.
abnormal at all.
Ain't
No
nothing
mask,
wrong
no
here.
nothing.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong here. And that was actually when I started going to Waco, the first part of the season. I'd stop in there to, take a leak or whatever I was doing. And I'd go in with a mask, and people were like, they thought I was like Alf or E.T. or one of those other famous creatures that we talk about. But that's all cool. Let's go to the hotline. And the factory stocks, the growth of the factory stocks is something that we've all witnessed it, and they are everywhere. There's like almost 600 of these guys that are in the region right here, and the great idea has come about. Let's do some power rankings. Let's rank these guys, and when it's all said and done, something's going to come off it, and it's going to be worth it for everybody to perform. Obviously, they want to perform. I mean, we know that, but now there's a system in place to where at the end of all of this, it's going to be a good thing. We're going to talk to one of our longtime buddies that is on the line with us. It is A.B. Aaron Brungott. How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. How about you, sir?
Can't complain, man. Can't complain. Just rolling through the day and mowing them down as soon as they come. So tell us, how did this come to pass?
Well, data, Bobby loves me for it, taking it off the speakerphone there, getting some feedback. So 2020 was kind of tough, and we decided that we were trying to understand racing, where the racers were going, stuff like that. And Nathan Lavender and I have been friends for a long time, and we started playing with My Race Pass and various other feeds, and started collecting data. And so we started this whole process looking at every driver at every track and where are they going? Are they traveling farther between tracks? Kind of, what was going on with COVID? That was the initial view.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, 28,000 rows of data from 2020 alone is basically every driver, every class, every track in the region. We're doing probably right about 20 tracks that we're monitoring. So we kind of figured some stuff out. We're doing it again in 2021, same data. And, what's the difference between USRA and IMCA? Where are the cars running? Are the same cars running both sanctions? And then one day in conversation with Chris, it'd come up about, doing something different, and somebody had planted a seed, and I decided to bait Nathan into running with it. So here we are.
That just goes to prove when you sometimes say nothing. That's my problem, Aaron. I say shit, and it's like, boom, here I am.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here you are, soaked socks, underwear, everything, watching a NASCAR race at Coda, right?
I was good with that, though. It was all right. Sorry, Bobby, I jumped on you.
No, I think this whole power ranking thing is a great idea, and I think it's an even better idea because of the fact that I don't have to sit there and calculate all that data. I know that AB is a big fan of all the extra data, and I'm just surprised you talked Nathan into doing it too. So in addition to being a data lover and crunching numbers, you must be a hell of a salesman too to get Nathan on board with this. So we already know that Chris and the gang over at Race on Texas have really been getting behind the factory stocks and working on driver of the year and promoter of the year again, just like they did. But it's nice to see that there's some stuff happening with the factory stock power rankings over there.
Yeah. So here's a little secret. Nathan's degree is in math. So that kind of helps.
Where was he back when I was about 15? Probably not born.
Yeah, don't challenge Nathan to math problems. It kind of gets stupid.
But isn't he a social studies teacher? Or is he a math teacher?
No, he deals with social studies in his class all the time. I bet you he's grateful for summer break.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Aren't they all?
I'm sure most teachers are after all this.
One more day for most of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So lay it out. I think probably the most important thing, and I'll pop the graphic up after this. So I think the most important thing about this, AB, is that I really like. This is not a popularity contest. I mean, this is true data crunching. This is performance based, and that's the key right there, because there are so many of these guys and girls. You got to perform, and that's going to move you up these rankings.
Exactly. It doesn't matter who you bribe to do what. If you're racing at factory stocks at one of these tracks that we're tracking, your numbers can go one way or the other. When these rainouts are not helping us from the standpoint of when we go release the power rankings next week, people are probably going to call BS. There's some people that are missing out of the top of the power rankings right now.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's a teaser right there.
The plot thickens already. Nice. I like it.
The plot thickens like white gravy on a Sunday morning that's 3 hours past its prime.
Yes, sir. It's awesome.
So, Aaron, going to the Matrix and stuff, tell us about some of the stuff. You don't have to give away the entire formula because I don't think that Roddy and I'll be able to keep up with it all. But talk about the different Matrix and stuff that's involved with this whole power ranking thing.
So we put the teaser out there, and we were already actually 4 weeks in to diving. And what we've been doing over that time is we pulled all the data from the beginning of the season, and we've gone through and looked at a point system that says, with what we're watching in real life when we're looking at these results, does it make sense? And so we've gone through, there's a 3-tier system, and we are looking at, pull it back up here. So you got wins, top 5s, top 10s, top 15s. Heat race wins, kind of like a bonus point, but can you win heat races and features is kind of the name of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then car counts matter. Factory stock, there's a lot of cars everywhere, but at the same time, if you're running a race that has 10 cars in it, it should not be treated the same as 50 cars at a track trying to make the A main.
Yep.
So, we're giving credit if they're racing in a B main, but you get more credit if you make the A main, and then you get more credit the farther up you finish. And it depends. Like I said, there's 3 tiers. You got under 10 cars, you have that middle, and then you got like 16 and over cars. So it's trying to stack you against the number of cars. The more cars, in theory, is the more competition. It is. I don't have the energy to create a calculation that calculates in where somebody else is in that race.
Mm-hmm.
But we have the data to do it. But we're not going to that extreme. This is more about creating a system that's fun, and we don't have a way right now to compare factory stock drivers.
Yeah. Well, and I think something that you mentioned right there, I think it's so important because I see this back in the days, Bobby. You remember with the Winston Racing Series and so forth, and all of that, the NASCAR Weekly thing, when it was really good. Not that it's bad now, but when it was truly legit, was car count was the huge car count and number of races. That was the hugest part of this, to where you factored that in more with the car count and performance, because no offense, we can watch guys that race on and on and on, race a lot of races and win championships, but it's because they race a lot of races. But this sounds like it's based more on performance and attendance.
So I will tell you right now that the number one guy in power rankings does not have the most points.
Yeah,
Another teaser. Again, look at the man try to sell this power ranking.
that's good.
It's math, Bobby. No, it's honestly it's average. It's average points per race is the only way that we could level set everybody. You got all the rainouts we're looking at. You've got some people that are running one track, some people that run 4 nights a week if they could.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and how do you level that? And so we've created a point system on a race basis, but the rankings is actually based off the average points attained per race to level set the number of races. There is a minimum number of races, and that's why some people are not in the rankings right now.
As there should be. Sorry.
You can't,
So, Aaron,
you can't
any thought of trying
run
to
one
get this
race
in?
and win one race
Uh-huh.
and be at the top of the rankings.
100%. Yeah.
So, Aaron, any thought about trying to make this into different classes, or are we solely trying to concentrate on the factory stocks? I mean, once these spreadsheets and everything else start going, is it just as easy to start plugging in, say, IMCA sport mods into a race into the factory stuff here?
Yes and no. It takes probably about 2.5 hours just to pull the data right now for factory stocks every week. We are over 20 hours into pulling data to catch us up for the season. So right now, I think that the 2021 focus is on power ranks for factory stocks. We got to look at process and how we could do this less painfully to do it for other classes. But when you think about it, the power rankings for factory stocks, they don't have a governing body. So there's no national points, things like that. You know, those other classes, most of them have that kind of effect where, you know, you're racing towards something. And that was kind of the goal when we looked at this is we're like, you know what, we want to give a unity to factory stocks and give them something to race to. So I may have twisted somebody's arm, and, you know, some of the feedback was, well, a bunch of these guys never race against each other. So we want to see who can make it into the top 50 in power rankings and get an invite for October 8th and 9th at Cotton Bowl to settle it.
Nice.
It's kind of how we want to cap this whole thing this year.
Nice. I like that a lot. So this is, as you were, and as I've kind of, you know, you and I've kind of talked a little bit. So honestly, to me, what this really is, and like what Bobby was asking right there, this kind of is like with the stock cars, like with this is somewhat that to where, because I know like Jason Batt, Jason Batt will go race he races 8 days a week, you know, that's really what this is. It's giving the factory stocks kind of the outlaw division, kind of giving them their whether it be IMCA or USRA big term goal at the end of the rainbow.
Absolutely. The advantage of IMCA is you have the same rules that you can go run anywhere. Not all factory stock rules are the same at every track, but it's really, really close. It's close enough that we could say it's level competition.
Yep.
There are 16 tracks right now that we have data on. We're watching 10 more because they, you know, if you go run a big race at a different track that doesn't normally run factory stocks, you know, we're counting that race in this. I think it is that end of rainbow, but another thing that we want to do is this is about fans and team interaction. And so there's going to be somebody that doesn't make the top 50, and we've put together a way that will start a little bit later on where they may be able to get into that invitational race based on, you know, social promotion.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong, there's still going to be an underdog in the rankings, but they may be a Cinderella story at the race.
Yeah, nice.
So what, other than this big race coming up at the end of the year, Cotton Bowl, is there any kind of grand prize you guys are thinking about giving away other than just maybe a big old trophy from the fine folks somewhere that are trophy sponsors? Yep.
So there's a trophy for sure. There are some other things that we are working on. You know, teaser that June's going to be an immensely busy month. We've had projects and they're all kind of coming to fruition this month. And then, but we think that we'll have things lined up at the beginning of July that we're not just going to have the drivers involved in this. We're going to have the fans involved in this. And, All In Designs is to come on board, and we can't appreciate their support enough for our, big audacious goal, and they're on board. This gives the fans something to cheer for, not just the drivers.
Yeah, and I really think that. So how's this going to work, Aaron? Is it going to be so when the rankings come out? Because I'm asking this like for myself and Bobby as well. When he's at Texana as a PA guy. So are these going to be updated weekly, monthly? I know it's asking a lot because that's a lot of data, however we want to say it. That's a lot because that really is, where we can say, here comes the number 6 ranked whatever. The frequency of the updates, what are we looking at with that?
So in the world of media and everything, when you hear the same thing over and over, after a while, it just fizzles out. And so we don't want to have that same effect. So we're going to initial launch here next week with updated data. And then our plan right now is you'll have a June and a July, basically right after the holidays, that we'll put rankings out. And then probably in August, we will switch over. You'll have enough races at that point to where you can add a kind of every other week. And then probably in September, we'll issue them every week. So builds as you go. But if we do it every week to start off, the movement can be, huge, or it can be tiny. Mm-hmm. We just don't want to get everybody fatigued on what ranking I am.
Yeah.
Interesting concept, doing it by the month. I think it's going to become so popular. You guys may not have a choice but to start releasing it weekly. I know that's a tough challenge and going on. But so in terms of the power rankings themselves, we keep hearing that some of the numbers, like who we think is going to be on top or not in top. When you do this initial formula, when you start pulling from the different racetracks, are the racetracks themselves, is it all based in Texas, or do we have the Rev factored into that? Over in Monroe, because there's so many Texas racers that go over there. Arklatex has their own unique set of rules. It's kind of been the baseline for all the factory stocks and stuff. So, is there any specific track that you're looking at adding, or are you going to reveal the tracks when you reveal the power rankings coming up here in a little bit?
Well, we didn't get to. So I'll be straight honest. When we started this project, the conversation was, is this a speed pass project or a racing project? We looked at the speed pass tracks that we have: Cotton Bowl, Texana, 105, I-37, Hot, RPM, Boot Hill, Buffalo, Monarch. And we said, do we do it within those tracks? But I'll be honest, there's conversations of other tracks becoming speed pass tracks. And then there's you can't stack this driver when he's raced at these other tracks and not count that data and this one. And so we kind of open the umbrella up, and you've got, Kennedale is on here. Yep. They're producing some huge competition at that track. They've had a great year.
Yeah.
South Texas Speedway, cars at that track, I think they've only had one race, if I remember right, so far. So those drivers, how do you level set? They've moved up to 37 or Texana in their stuff. Some have come up to Cotton Bowl. We've got 82, Grayson, Big O, Devil's Bowl, Super Bowl. And there's several other tracks that don't typically run factory stocks that we're watching. Yeah. So we are trying to say, hey, where are factories racing, and catch the data.
Yeah. This really looks like an opportunity to where it could be, do you foresee, Aaron, that as this has started, especially with, we talk about the end of the rainbow, do you think that we're going to start seeing, obviously there's a bunch of big factory stock shows anyway. We get to the Clash in Etna here at the end of the year. This could be massive for that one. Do you think that with the implication of this, do you think that you're going to start seeing some big-ass factory stock shows popping up, bigger than what we already have?
It's really hard to say, because so going back to that data that we pulled in 2020 and 2021, what we've seen is that drivers are kind of territorial, and they're going to stay within a circle of their house. But if there's a big enough show, they do travel. There's shows when you think of the Fall Classic and things like that. One of my favorite memories is Dwayne being car owner, Terry being driver, and trying to race in against 55 other street stocks at Fall Classic when we first started dirt racing. And that's a fun thing, but can you imagine trying to race in against 50 of the top drivers in the region?
Mm-hmm.
That's a story right there. Like, that's not just a story, it's a feat. And that's the kind of thing that we could potentially do. Yeah. We've tested, we did the shootout with the factory stocks at Cotton Bowl earlier in the year. And you look at the people that were in that race, and I'm staring at the power rankings right now, and I don't want to fire off names because I don't want to give away where people are in the power rankings, but those people are in this power rankings, and this kind of justifies how tough it was to get in that race and to finish well in that race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But money talks, right?
That's right. That's exactly right.
So we're looking at putting together a pretty good deal at Oktoberfest for the drivers in these power rankings. We're going to reach out to sponsors and do stuff. And, I'll tell you that even the lap sponsor that we did at Cotton Bowl when we did that shootout, that added $500 to the purse, but it made it a lot of fun.
Yeah. Because
it wasn't $500 for any specific person. It was, if you can get up there and lead laps and things like that. So we're trying to get out of the box, do some fun stuff. Speed Pass is a year old. And, a lot of these people you can watch on Speed Pass on Saturday night,
mm-hmm.
Friday night, sometimes Sunday night,
yeah.
Sometimes Thursday night.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
So, Aaron, since you won't reveal the top ranking now, obviously, we're trying to get you to spill the beans because, that's what we like to do over
Who's
here.
Third?
Is try to get...
Who's in third?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
let us know, just let us know the driver who's in fifth position, if that's going to shock the world, because, that's what we like to do over here. But at the end goal, at the end of the day, is it about making racing the factory stock stuff? That's a good bite. That's a good bite right there.
Thank you.
Is it just about bringing more attention to the factory stocks? Is that what it was all about at the end of the day? Because it seems like the factory stocks were the class that was blowing up there for the longest time, and they ended up being the next most popular class. We've got guys that are dropping down a class, trying to come and race with them. So it just seems like this became a who's who of who's it going to be. So I think was that at the end of the day? Was that, as I ramble on, was that part of the process, was to just make the factory stocks more powerful in Texas?
Get to the point, BC. Get to the point.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. Aaron's like, so what's the question?
Yeah, what's
over analytical. What was that word?
Over analyzing. Yeah, that's what we were talking about with you and your numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you overanalyzed the question there, Bobby. Just saying now.
Not in my house.
No, honestly, we have looked at racing differently. When you think about Speed Pass, all these tracks are in competition for car count, and how is a track being successful? This track versus that track. There's all of this stuff where you could go, but the overall goal, even with Speed Pass, it's about creating a stronger environment for racing. Period in the region, and so. With half the money going back to the tracks, it's not we're putting it in our pocket. We're putting it in the track's pocket to help them in times like this where, 6 weeks of rainouts. When the track doesn't race, the track doesn't make money is the way it's been. So that's one piece of it. But then the other piece of it is this is about conversations. This is about reasons why. Why to go to this race? I think that one of the biggest things that people forget is they consume, but they don't necessarily share. Yeah. And we really want, these names to be out there and shared. I actually had a conversation earlier today on the phone. I can't disclose stuff because then I would get in trouble by Chris. But, in this conversation with somebody that you wouldn't think knows. I told him, I was like, yeah, I do marketing at Cotton Bowl, and oh yeah, man, I heard of that track, and it blew me away because you really don't think about people knowing because you're kind of stuck in this bubble, but
yeah,
we're trying to get outside that bubble, and it's working.
Yeah.
And social media has its ups and downs for reasons, but that's what's facilitating a bunch of this. We want to see these drivers succeed. The more popularity that they get, more exposure, the better their sponsor deals can be, the easier it is to fund a ride. A lot of these guys fund their ride through their pocket.
Yeah.
And so,
that's totally right.
This is kind of trying to create an environment and improve it. And I feel like this kind of stuff does that for racing.
Yeah, it does. Aaron, let me ask you, when it comes to Speed Pass, I mean, thinking back, to, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, I mean, it always was whether it be the race on Texas or Speed 51, whoever it may be, that was, in some promoters' thoughts, not the friend of the track. I mean, yet the track allowed him in. The track allowed him in, but at the same time bitched about them, not getting people in the turnstiles. How much of a challenge has it been for, I hate to say that the pandemic has been good, but I think maybe the pandemic has been good for folks to understand how important streaming is. But like with Speed Pass, how's it been to massage track owners, track operators to understand the value of Speed Pass, for folks that can't get to the racetrack? Is that a work in progress?
There's some tough conversations. I feel like when times are good, some promoters can be believers, and when times are tough, it's hard for them to believe.
Yeah.
I still think that there's conversations about digital is hurting racing, and when I say that, people going Facebook Live,
that hurts racing.
It's you're doing it. I watched it. Being totally transparent, there's a lot of controversy over the All-Star shootout that's running right now, and my feed was lit up with Facebook Lives last night, and that doesn't help the situation at all.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get it somewhere else, but the model that we built, I feel like it's made it easier in those conversations, and it's made it a lot easier if Kevin Rogers, there's been talks with him, and at the end of 2020, when he turned around and looked at, financial contributions and sponsors and stuff like that, Speed Pass was right there in the top of his list. Mm-hmm. And it's the thing that I want to emphasize, though, is it's not Speed Pass. It's fans that want to support it that are making it possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real thing that you have to look at. Is there's a lot of individual people contributing small amounts to make it successful.
Yeah. That really is important. And I mean, it does come down to, folks can't get to the track or don't want to go to the track. I mean, whatever I used to think, I remember being a kid, Aaron, when we couldn't get to Speed or Longhorn, whatever it was, we couldn't get there on a Friday night. I was like crushed. And now to have, I think, whether it be, Race on Texas or all of them, I mean, everybody does a really good job.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, and it's very competitive. And I just think that the nice thing about it is that it's there. That it's there. I mean, you don't have to be, and when we talk about kids and so forth, you don't have to be sitting at home crushed all night because you can't be there. You can still be there. You're just not there.
I'll tell you, last July, Owen decided to have his 4th of July race and was new on the Speed Pass. Like Speed Pass, when that decision was made, was 3 weeks old. And we went down there to support his race, and we were testing and doing stuff. And I was running around, but we also had a brand new baby.
Ooh.
And my wife was with the baby in the hauler watching on Speed Pass at the track.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing, we have gone to races where you're trying to keep up with another race at the track, watching what's going on at another track. I mean, there's ridiculous amounts of racing, and Speed Pass allows us to connect to it in real time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's super awesome. So, lastly, we've gone through it. We figured out how everything's going to be calculated and managed. When do the results come out? And boy, that's going to be a hell of a that's going to be pretty anticipated right there. So, when do those come out? Obviously, I would assume at Race on Texas. Is there going to be a special presentation there? Give us the nuts and bolts on how all that's going to work.
So nuts and bolts, we will post them on the website next Tuesday. And with that, we're not just going to post, hey, here's the top 50. We're going to post on back down the list so people know where they are. And then, again, understanding one of the key qualifiers are you have to race enough races. You got to race you got to race 6 to make it into the rankings and be counted. If I look right now at the rankings, the top 10 would look totally different if these other people raced. And so that's one of the things when we go and we look at it. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people that would jump into the top 10 if they had consistent results but raced. Some need to race 1 more race. A couple need to race 2 more races. So the thing about it is understanding when we put this out there that there's going to be shakeups every time.
Yeah. So I think the main thing is for these guys, for the drivers. I mean, obviously, if you put yourself in a power ranking in a good spot, when it all comes down to it, it's going to be worth it for them when we get to Oktoberfest. It's going to be worth it for them financially. I mean, that's the big draw.
Yep.
It's going to be worth it for them to be the best.
It is, and you got to be the best consistent. You know, that consistency is what
you got to punch your
key in
ticket.
this whole thing.
You got to punch your ticket to get there.
Yeah,
I would say. I mean,
there are names. So when we posted that post, everybody said, you know, who would be at the top of the power rankings, and there were several of those names that are ranked, and nowhere they're not even in the top 100.
Oh.
This is based off of 2021 racing performance. Do not get me wrong. There are some amazing drivers that this tells the story that they're struggling out of the gate this year.
Maybe we should do the show Tuesday.
Maybe.
Next week. Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Well, Monday's a holiday, so.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we're planning. All the racing action will be done Sunday. So the game plan is Monday. We're updating data to post probably midday on Tuesday.
I think we will do Tuesday because hell, I have a real job now. I'm off Monday, so yeah, that's cool.
Did you see breaking news on the Facebook feed? Owen Pittman says free entry into the clash for the top 25 in the power rankings.
Woo! That guy right
Nice.
there, that dude is a freaking,
He's on top of his shit down
That
there. isn't he?
freaking promoter.
I talked to Owen the other day, and you guys have been easy on me compared to how hard he was beating on my tree to get me to tell who was in what ranking.
Well, we know how it is, but did you tell him?
But no, Rodney,
Did
I
you
mean,
tell
all
him?
seriousness.
Did you end up telling him? Yeah, that's the
Did you
main
tell
thing.
him?
No, we did not tell him. That was
Oh.
I almost thought he was going to show up at my front door.
He doesn't know your
Because
address.
if the rankings,
Or
if the
at least
rankings
he
change,
didn't.
you can
He
always
didn't.
text us. You can always text us the top 5 off the record, you know, and then that way we could see how much the rankings really are going to change past this weekend. That would be a way. I think that's how Roddy and I would roll with it, you know, confidential, you know, attorney-client privilege kind of deal. If you text us off
You
the
can.
air,
You think you can keep a secret, Bobby?
sure I can.
If you don't want me
I
to,
don't know.
if you don't want me to say anything, you better come get my beer fridge. 'Cause I will go crazy and tell everybody, my friend.
I really like what we're doing when we look at the data.
Yeah. I mean,
There's some people in the top of this power rankings that they haven't won a race yet, but they've been in the top 5 a lot.
but I mean that's how you do it. If you're going to do something like this, it has to be. I mean, it has to be data driven. I mean,
It is.
Yeah, I mean, one guy. I mean, it's one thing where you go out and you win all the time, but hell, then you finish 25th 3 times in a row. I mean, I mean, that's the only way to do it. That is the only way to do it if you're going to attempt to do something like this.
Yeah, for sure. It's the data doesn't lie. It doesn't become biased. You know, like I said, we're looking at all the tracks. There's 20 tracks that we're monitoring. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we love the project. We've talked to sponsors and people. They love the project. It's come together pretty quick. And so we don't really have the entire story, but I know that the projects that we're working on, there's going to be some pretty cool stuff for drivers and fans associated with this. But the money talks for sure, and we want to have those races at the end of the year that, you know, there's going to be some money on the line. I'm pretty sure on that race.
Yeah, I mean, and that could be anyway. I mean, you get the Clash involved with this, and I mean, just what Owen is talking about right there. I mean, that's going to bring, because you're getting down to that, and when you get to that point, that's when it's going to be pretty important. So, great concept, my man. Again, don't call me to help with the data thing, because
we put your address down to file all complaints. I hope you don't mind that.
Well, I'm used to that. I get that all the time. But I have a I have a pencil with a limited eraser. So I
know that the complaints are coming, but you know, this isn't fun. You know, that's the data doesn't lie. It's being honest, and hopefully the drivers will take it that way. We're not judging them. Again,
this is not a popularity contest. This really is. It sounds like the bottom line. I mean, you go out there, you perform, and you're going to be in the top whatever. If you don't perform, you're not going to be at top echelon, and that's it's a great concept. So congratulations, man. Have fun tracking that.
Yeah, right. Enjoy that fun, and I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Here, I'll give you another number for a teaser.
Okay.
The top 25 drivers are responsible for 49 wins already this season.
49 wins.
Wow, between 25, huh?
That's pretty good. We'll
guys, I appreciate the time.
We'll talk about it Tuesday. It's going to be good, man. Nice job, dude. Right. Keep up the hard work.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
You bet. There he is. I like it. I mean, seriously. I mean, there probably are going to be some hurt feelings, but
of course there's going to be hurt feelings.
But when you come down to seriously, if you're going to do something like this, you have to do it based on performance. I mean, because we've watched so many different things that it comes down to popularity contest, and I'm sorry, I know I keep saying that, but I've done this for a long time, and I'm just glad that I'm not the one with that spreadsheet. Holy shit! Can you imagine that? 587 drivers? Shit.
That's just a lot of extra data that you don't need to deal with.
A lot of data.
We got a lot of extra projects on our own plate, much less trying to deal with all that stuff with the power rankings for the factory stocks.
Dude, we're trying to figure out how to get this stupid show on the air every week. Having to use a backup camera today because mine wouldn't work. I mean, imagine that. But good for them. And I mean, seriously, I think a big show at Cotton Bowl. And I think I like it being at Cotton Bowl because I think Cotton Bowl is like the great equalizer. You know, it's like you race at all these tracks all around the state and Louisiana and Oklahoma, everywhere that's going to factor into this. And then you go there, and you go to that big ass place, and you gotta show your cantaloupes down in your driver's seat, and get after it, man. That's a fantastic concept. I'm looking forward. At first, I mean, I had a really good idea when I saw everything that was coming out. I'm like, okay, I'm sure so-and-so is going to be first and blah, blah, blah. But I'm really curious to see who's where.
I'm really curious to see now.
And I'm not teasing it for them. I have no reason to tease it for them, but I want to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who all is going to be there with the factory stocks. Apparently, who we thought was going to be there is not going to be there. So now it's one of those. He just texted you something, didn't he?
Who's that?
Well, no. You were smiling at.
Oh no, I was making sure that the hotline was off.
Oh,
I left somebody on for like 2 hours one time on the hotline. They were just sitting there. I'm like, why didn't you hang up? Oh, I didn't know if I was coming back on. I'm like, seriously? You didn't hear like 12 beers open up? So, yeah, that's why I always go and make sure that's off. But great concept right there. Here's the details once again. If you're on the Facebook feed, we'll get that popped up for you once again. The factory stock power rankings, and I really do think it is. It's a kind of the model of the IMCA and USRA, and the NASCAR Roots, the weekly racing series, to where all of that really counts. And I really love it because the factory stocks are the ones they're kind of left out, and it's a good opportunity for them. And I think that it could breed some really huge races coming up later in the season.
No, I think it will. I think it's nothing but anytime you pull up something positive for racing and put a new spin on something, it's really hard to do that, right? When you think about as long as we've been racing, something that creates buzz in a positive way is something that doesn't happen a whole lot. And I think they found this formula that's going to create a lot of buzz and get a lot of people going and get a lot of people thinking about this whole concept of the power rankings. And I think what you're going to find out is that there's going to be so many people that are going to want to expand it into the sport mods, or it's going to want to be expanded into the sport compacts or the outlaw street stocks, or whatever the case may be. So,
well, they're going to see. They're going to need 587 drivers if they want it expanded. If you missed it, the race at Houston for the Gulf Coast Racing Series that was set for this Saturday night, that has been canceled. Just a combination of weather that has already happened there the last week and a half there in the greater Houston area. The forecast that is in front of them, you're already dealing with saturated grounds and everything, so it was going to be a tough get anyway. They're kind of at a point right now in Houston, from everything that I've gathered, where a little bit of precipitation is going to be a dagger. 70% on Saturday, you just can't risk that. So unfortunately, for the Gulf Coast Racing Series, no action coming up, but back at it on June the 5th over at Mobile. So that will be the next one. Super excited to be back there, and that'll be cool. Sucks for the Houston fans, but
yeah, it sucks for the Houston fans.
You get your Memorial weekend, I guess. Go watch the Astros.
Go to the Clash. That's 2 hours from anywhere.
That's it. Or you can actually go to. So you can actually go to 105. Go to 105. You can actually
support your local short track, whatever the I was gonna say whatever the pavement may be, but whatever the surface may be.
Yeah.
Support your local short track regardless of what surface it is. Looks like there's nothing but dirt stuff left now, but
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And enjoy your Sunday. I mean, if you happen to be home on Sunday, you won't have the Monaco, but it's still cool. The Indy 500. I'm super excited about the Indy 500. So you got to love that. Hey, we got to give some love. We talked to Beth Peretta on the Saturday show a couple of weeks ago, and man, good for them. I mean, seriously, good for them. They punch their ticket, they get in. I think Indy's going to be a good race, and of course the Coke 600. There's a lot of momentum coming off of that one. No Saturday show for us. You want to hear the real irony of no Saturday show for us? I actually got an email today. I'd reached out like early in the week, and for the Saturday show, we were actually going to have the man that won the truck race in Austin. Had to tell him, damn, maybe next time.
Well, it happens.
Shit happens. But anyway, good.
He could have called into this show. This wonderful production we're having now.
Well, the bad thing is I think he's dealing with some stuff right now there because they race tomorrow. So what is the Charlotte schedule? It's trucks on Friday, Xfinity on Saturday, and then obviously
the Cup, 600 on Sunday. Yep.
Sunday night. Yeah.
Trucks run tomorrow night.
And Carb Day. Carb Day is tomorrow at Indianapolis. I love how they have Carb Day.
Weather permitting tomorrow. So
that's the other part of that. And of course, everything locally is weather permitting. Hopefully, everything holds out for everyone. And again, you've got this huge the All-Star shootout happening right there. So plenty of racing that is going to be going on. Just get out and support one of these tracks if you can.
Yep, that's right. Support your local short track regardless of the surface.
Absolutely. Good stuff right there. Thanks to Aaron Brungott for jumping on to explain that, because seriously, when I think the initial thought was he just kind of wanted me to talk about it, and there's no way that I say data. I don't say data. So you notice he started saying data. I was like, data. So, I mean, I couldn't have explained that. I have no idea how they're doing that.
Yeah, no, I just hit the button on the spreadsheet and say, okay, so-and-so is going to be right here, right here, right here.
That's exactly right. Great program. Thanks to everyone for checking in. Hey, Jacqueline, she checked in right there at the end. Good luck with the Cars Tour. Great Cars Tour race the other day as Justin Johnson wins. Our man Caden Honeycutt had a really good run. But, hey, we're heading to the weekend. It is time to go racing, whether it's going to be on TV or at a local short track. Get out and enjoy it. Bobby, have fun, my man, on the maiden voyage.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I gotta go get it, make sure it pulls out of the mud right now.
That's
and
what
then
she said.
we'll get it fired up, ready to go. Take the thing off to the campsite there on tomorrow and try to hang out for a couple of days. I already told him, leave me alone on Sunday.
Don't mess with me. Gonna be good.
Leave me alone on Sunday. As long as I get a good enough TV reception to watch the Indianapolis 500 and the Coke 600, everything be all right on Sunday.
There it is. Be well, friends. Be nice to someone. You never know what they're going through. You're going to feel better as well afterwards. Hashtag Real Race Talk from Texas. It's the Revved Up Sports Show. We'll see you next time.